Pradip Kumar Das, the CMD, joining in on the show right now. Mr. Kumar, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much, as always, for joining in on ET Now. Let me first talk about how the first half of the year has been, and it's clearly been fabulous for your company in terms of your NII growth. Do you expect this kind of momentum to continue in the second half as well?
Yeah, very good morning and thank you for inviting here. Yeah, it's nice talking to you all every quarter. And I get a little bit of surprise when you say that growth is quite good. We have been given this kind of growth almost since last 16, 18 quarters. And if you see the percentage of growth is not only steady, but slightly it is also improving. And if you look at the sanction 200, more than 200% grown, and disbursement 56%, as well as loan book is 36%. So that is what, and most encouraging is if you see the loan book, what we have shown the half yearly to half yearly comparison is much higher than the CAGR of last 4 years. The CAGR was 27%, whereas this is at 36%. And similarly, also net interest margin, income, when you look at, there also when CAGR was 20% and it is now grown more than 35%. So that is quite encouraging. As far as your question about whether this is going to be repeated the next half yearly, if you see the statistics, we have always done much better than what we give to the quarter or half yearly in the next quarter or next half year. So that way, if you go by the statistics, certainly there will be this will be sustained. And not only that, the kind of business growth, what is visible in the market, because our country needs to add another pure renewable 285 gigawatt, because 200 gigawatt we have already done, including renewable nuclear, it is going to be 500 gigawatt. If you take out 15 gigawatt for that, 285 gigawatt further addition is going to be there. And we are going to play the critical and leading role in this sector. So we are confident of having much better performance rather.
Wouldn't have hoped to hear anything different from you, Mr. Das. But tell me about your loan sanctions as well, because they are also up a staggering 4x in the first half to now 17,860 crore rupees in the second half. What is leading to such kind of high growth in sanctions, and at what level do you intend to close FY25 with?
So we are broadly following a three-letter principle in the company. The DAS principle. D, when we talk about D, we always talk to our borrowers and we ask them that please maintain discipline. Ensure your account is steady, smooth and sanitized so that you could improvise your rating so that we can pass on the benefit what we got by improvising our rating to them also. So discipline by the developer. And when we talk about attitude of the lenders, we being the largest pure play green finance lender in the country, and since renewable very fast moving, so we need to have a very proactive and involved approach in our handholding to the developers, because the sector has to grow at a jet speed and we have to maintain the discipline as well as attitude from our side. And when we look at the simplicity part, we expect that the regulator as well as the government policies, that has to be more simplified. As and when we get any input from our stakeholders, then we used to share with our ministry as well as the regulator like RBI and all. We want to simplify the policies, procedure, so that the speed and accuracy can be maintained while doing the due diligence and appraisal. So this DAS principle has been sincerely followed in our organization.
IREDA committed to only invest in the green energy space and power space, or you could be looking at, let's say, giving money to Vodafone or telecom? You know, that was a buzz which had come a couple of weeks ago. You'll appreciate the spirit of my question.
No, let me first clarify. We will continue to do green only and related green. We are not going to deviate from that. The reason is huge amount of target is there and huge amount of business opportunities there in green and related green area. So what we are now...
Mr. Das, can I flash it? Can I flash it saying that IREDA will only do green and telecom is not green, so they will not give money to Vodafone, Idea, for that matter, any telecom companies?
See, first of all, if the telecom companies are going into something related to green, definitely will come forward in that. Because the green energy financing or green transition is such a huge market. And considering our lower kind of net worth and having the most experienced team with us since 37 years, we are working in this space. So the kind of business what is available already in green and related green area, we are not able to cope up with that. So we need not get into every area because we know that country is growing very fast and it is certain to grow also. And we are determined to make India a developed economy by 2047. And we have a stable governance in the country. So therefore, we are quite confident the area in which we are going to do a fair amount of business. And telecom may not be, will not directly get into any other area other than the green or related green.
So let's talk about solar. In solar, we understand that prices are coming down, competition is intensifying. Is that a visible risk for a green financier that you are financing in a sector where demand is going up but competition and rates are going down? So what looks like a great viable project today, 2-3 years the business may run into rough weather, and that in a sense could have a problem for financier then?
If you look at 4 years back, the price when it was discovered 2.44, there was a lot of buzz in the market that whether it will be sustainable or not. And for one of transaction, I think the bidding it was 1.99, but certainly 2.5 to 3 range of bidded projects that is sustainable. Coming to that, the way it is growing, the scale is getting up. See, even if you look at the input requirement for setting up the project, almost 90% are imported and imported largely from particular country. Now we are working in a focused manner of Atmanirbhar Bharat, and in that we not only want to be self-sufficient in our solar or RE component requirement, we also want to handle the underdeveloped and developing economies. And keeping that in mind, a lot of manufacturing of integrated modules like starting from your polysilicon to ingot, then wafer, then cell and module. Earlier, we used to focus mostly on modules and then into sales. So now we are going for integration. So fair amount of manufacturing development is going to happen. As of now, it's around 25 gigawatt capacity India is having, and we are going to reach almost 10 gigawatt manufacturing capacity for solar component almost 4 years down the line. So this is going to grow. And since this is coming from purely from nature, where you do not have any raw material component and the O&M cost, virtually it is negligible. So therefore, this sector is going to grow. And with promotion of this 1 crore housing hold by Honorable Prime Minister for free power, reasonably it is a free power kind of concept. The fair amount of awareness is going to come up in India. So which we could have encased probably 30 years back, which we are doing now, because Sun God is too kind to us. And the solar temple, Sun temple is in the eastern and western part of India where we get huge amount of radiation. And we have never encased that earlier. So therefore, we are quite confident. More the scale goes up, the prices will be competitive. But certainly, these projects are not going to be risky. But this has been competitive since last 4 years. It is not now, and we are sustaining that.
So, Mr. Das, in addition to this, you also received an approval from DIPAM and the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, right, for setting up this wholly owned subsidiary for retail business, much like, PM Kusum. What I wanted to understand is how different will this business be than your existing business, and what's the kind of revenue potential you think it could generate?
See, in the country, we have made a rough estimate. In the country, there is almost around 8 lakh crores of retail business available in next 4 years. And last 37 years, we have been focusing on developing the sector and making the technology bankable. That was the prime focus. As a result, we have only focused on large-scale project developments and technological improvement. But it has been felt in the past that the SME, MSME, or this retail space, fair amount of bankability is not visible. And look at this, be it Kusum or PM Suryagar, the bankers are not coming forward that way, probably the way it was expected. But both the nodal agency engaged for that, as well as our ministry, MNRE, and other higher authority in the country, they are working very closely to make it more awareness as well as more bankable and enabling that ease of bankability in that space. And it was felt that entity like IREDA, not only to focus on larger projects, they need to extend their expertise to this field also. So what is happening? Because we are a mostly wholesale kind of activity we are doing. We do not have expertise in retail. That we have to accept first. Since we do not have, we need to handhold those agencies, maybe microfinance companies or some self-help group or those who are having the local area presence, that front-end activities, we have to take their support. Back-end, it will be the SOP and process policy procedures. Doing the due diligence appraisal will be our tool. And we want to make it a full integrated IT mode of operation. So it will be a blending of IREDA, fintech, self-help group, microfinance companies concept, so that we can take into that business. And this will be completely altogether different what we are doing now. And we are trying to have a completely separate business setup for this, separate team, separate system, everything separate. And this may take a little more time, but once we come into bring into grip entire concept into our system, I think then we can have a fair amount of contribution in this space. And if you see today, what is our support so far out of this 200 gigawatt, almost 27 to 30 gigawatt we have supported, 12 to 13% our contributions. If you take that simple mathematics, and out of this 8 lakh crores, roughly 1 lakh crore business we can do. That is just a rough one. And but we are working with our team as well as our consultants and these agencies. And because recently, a couple of days back, we have, I think on 19th, we got the approval from DIPAM and MNRE for setting up this. And we have already started doing this retail activity, which are in aggregator mode, particularly in rooftop solar and Kusum, since last 7-8 months. And we have done fairly good, and our team has been aligning to that. We also, since you took the name of DIPAM, we also had another approval in the recent past. That is natural dilution of up to 7% of our equity, because we need to have fair amount of fresh equity addition in order to ensure that we are keeping a higher net worth.
Right.
And Ministry has been kind enough to allow us go up to 7%. So we are working. Initially, our rough estimate of 4,500 crores. We are reworking on this, and this will be in QIP mode, and it will be purely market-linked pricing.
Sure.
So therefore, we are confident that by the end of this year, maybe by January end or February end, we'll be hitting the market, and the way we have done earlier in the IPO, and I think the investor is going to respond to the same manner in the time to come.
Right. Very quickly, Mr. Das, we don't want to hold you back too long. I want to just talk about, the impairment that one has seen in this quarter to the tune of almost about 34 crore rupees. Tell me, what is this related to? Because there's also a write-off of about 40 odd crore rupees because of bad debts in Dharani Sugar. Tell me about this impairment and whether or not it's recurring in nature, or you think it's a one-off?
If you see, in last 37.5 years, our cumulative write-off is 216 crore. This 14 crore is added now only. And wherever we have written up, these are all provisions. Like most of the cases, we have recovered the principal and simple interest or cost of funds. And these are all old issues. Most of our old NPAs pertaining to bioenergy or this small hydro space. 4 years back, we had around 92 and odd accounts, and almost 30-40 accounts we have sorted out. And among them, almost about 12 to 15 account settlement has happened. And as I told, most of the cases we have recovered either principal plus simple interest or principal of cost of funds. Very rarest of the rare case where you have gone for compromising. So this is purely an exception. And coming to the impairment, you have seen 34 crore, that's right. But if you see the cumulative one, it's 3.8 crore, half yearly one. So this, because we have around 15% of our resource composition as forex. So some kind of exchange rate variation, the transactions were there. So therefore, it is not a big thing. Looking at the book size of 64,500 crore of loan book, this is not at all a big thing, and these are quite minor. And in the time to come, as I told in my earlier interviews, that we are determined to bring down to the net NPO to zero level in next 2 years.
Appreciate your time, Mr. Das. Thank you very much.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits, and then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.